again.
Want to get out of here?
I'm grounded.
Bummer.
What?
Is Spider-Man grounded?
Well, I will say this movie was a lot of fun. It really was. There were some predictable beats in it. Got some nice tin popcorn and little action figures for the cups, maybe for my board game. Who knows? So it is what you think it is. It's Miles Morales ending up in the multiverse. Now, I mean, it goes back to the end of the first movie where it's kind of like Back to the Future, right? Because I kind of think of Back to the Future Part 1, then Part 2, right? Where it's like, oh, it's about your kids. So instead of Doc Brown, you got Gwen Stacy. And there is a nice, you know, evolving relationship between Miles and Gwen. There's a larger picture. And I thought it was good. I thought the chemistry between the two were good. I mean, it was good in the last movie. It's good in this one. So this is about what you could typically get is that Miles Morales is a great student. He's an A student, but he's not home. He's not showing up for class. He's not present. He's there, but he's not there mentally. You know, he's this Mensa kid, right? He's this kid that's going to get, you know, Ivy League school material, but he's just not, you know, responding to final exams, midterms, extra credit, homework, right? Like he brings, you know, the lady, I guess it's the teacher bringing in the parents, you know, the officer and so, you know, Miles's parents are, you know, like disappointed in him because he's not there. It's a typical setup to say, okay, because you didn't reveal your secret, your parents are disappointed in you. And so we go through the whole thing. It's kind of predictable. I roll my eyes up at it. And that's what keeps it from being a perfect 10. I cannot give this movie a 10 because these kind of things will happen. There aren't a lot of twists, but there is a twist at the end of this, and I'll reveal it in a few moments. But we get to see, we start off with Gwen Stacy in her universe. And her universe, unlike the slightly stop-motion, colorful CGI universe that's Miles's, right? And the former Chris Pine Spider-Man was a Peter B. Parker. Gwen's universe is very pastel colors. You know, her backstory basically with Peter Parker, the traditional Peter Parker with the glasses, the white dude who turns into a lizard and then is killed. It kind of reminds me of the Spectacular Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, I'm not sure if it's the same voice actor from that Saturday morning cartoon on Kids WB or CW4 Kids, but it's it's Spectacular Spider-Man. Spectacular. So, it reminds me of when Harry Osborn, we thought turned into the Goblin, but it was actually Norman Osborn who baited and switched. So that's what I was thinking of when I was thinking of Gwen Stacy fighting the lizard. It's Peter Parker turned into a lizard. There's no Kurt Connors. So she fights him and he dies. And her dad blames her or blames Spider-Girl, Spider-Woman, for the death of Peter Parker, which an autopsy could show clearly that, you know, this was Peter's fault, maybe, unless he would somehow find a reason to say, well, she must have given him she must have poisoned him so that he would turn into this monster. I don't know. It's sort of a blame Spider-Woman kind of thing that too many predictable beats like that. It kind of irritates me sometimes. I'm thinking, well, okay, we're going through this again, really, but so then there's an encounter, but before, so after that happens, we're following Gwen Stacy on her Earth, and she's fighting the Vulture, I guess from the Leonardo da Vinci universe, where Leonardo da Vinci's art and inventions are its own universe, and the Vulture came from that. So the Vulture is from the Leonardo da Vinci universe, and he fights Gwen, and then come the other Spider-Man, the Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara. Spider-Woman pregnant and riding a motorcycle to fight crime, which is got to tell you, not the smartest thing. I understand we have woke ideas, but being pregnant and fighting crime should not be the thing to happen. I mean, I don't recall a lot of female police officers pregnant and running and gunning. I mean, you can't do that. No. But whatever. I mean, you could argue that her super spider powers keep her from just like killing her baby within 2 seconds. I don't know. I guess that's what would happen. And I'm not sure if these scenes here are from the previous movie or not, but there is an epileptic seizure potential at the beginning. Lots of flashing colors, lots of crazy colors and lights, and it can be hard. I couldn't look at. I had to kind of shut my eyes from the beginning of the movie before the movie even started. You get the epileptic seizure shit going on, and it's look. I don't get seizures from looking at the crazy lights, but it does wear me out. It is irritating. So that's a note to the director, the show, the producers. Let's lighten up on those flashing colors and spots, okay? Please. I understand why it's done that way, but you can kill somebody with like those flashing lights. But so we got Spider-Woman, we got Miguel O'Hara, and then who do we have? Who else is left? There's and then Spider-Punk. I have the first issue of Spider-Punk. That one. I also have the first issue of Spider-Man 2099 and the first issue of Spider-Man Noir. And I don't have Miles Morales' first appearance, but I do have the tryout book from '83 from original Spider-Man. Just rambling on a little bit here. But anyway, Gwen Stacy goes with the other two Spider people because what happens is she reveals. What does she reveal? Gwen Stacy reveals to her father, Captain Stacy, who blames Spider-Woman for Peter Parker's death. She reveals her secret. And he's still going to arrest her, right? So instead of getting arrested by her dad, she decides to go into a portal, you know, the little hexagon portal, and then they take off. Then we go back to Miles Morales' universe and him having trouble at school, and he's fighting the Spot. Now, I remember the Spot. Now, the Spot's from the early 60s, 70s comics. I do remember the Spot from the 94 cartoon. You know, he's this British guy. Very well. I mean, he's a scientist. A very sophisticated dude. And I remember the action figures. And they took a Spider-Man toy, repainted it white with purple spots. That's all they really did. So I remember the Spot from the 94 cartoon. And oh, who's that? There's Spider-Punk. There is Spider-Punk right there. And so Spider-Punk shows up. We have the Spot, a career criminal who was a scientist. And he's trying to master the multiverse. He's trying to do the same thing he was starting before. So he was a guy that started out, and he was supposed to be in the first movie. And so the collider happened when Kingpin, and you had the Kingpin, the Green Goblin, and Spider-Man, Peter B. Parker, and then Miles. And then the whole accident happened in which the multiverse was unlocked in the first movie. And that's what turned this scientist into the Spot. And then he was able to create vortexes within himself to travel to different universes. So Miles Morales and Spot duke it out first at the ATM, which was not much of a spoiler because it is in the previews. And then they fight, and then he has him pinned, but not. There's a whole moment with Miles and his dad, but Miles is Spider-Man, so his dad doesn't know his secret. And they try to take down the Spot. The Spot escapes. And they have a whole back and forth about trust and stuff. It was awkward. It was kind of weird and awkward. It's like, why don't you just tell him you're Spider-Man? If he doesn't know your own voice, you know. He tries to deepen his voice so it doesn't sound different. Okay. So, all right. There's some gags, some sight gags. Sometimes the sight gags can be a little too much because they're just predictable. I don't know. I get tuned out of it. And there is a conflict. So Gwen does show up to see Miles Morales. And we have that scene where they're just, she's trying to lure him outside and they hang out. Meanwhile, she's keeping an eye on Spot because Spot is trying to fuck with the multiverse. And she's keeping secrets from him, but eventually there's a whole thing about canon, messing with the canon, C-A-N-O-N, of course. Messing with the lore of canon. So eventually, Miles Morales turns. One of his secrets is that he turns invisible. He could turn invisible, and nobody can detect him. I would have thought Gwen's Spidey sense would have gone off. I thought. I thought those wavy lines were going to pop up in front of her head and be like, "Hey, what's he doing here?" Right? So she doesn't detect him at all. He's like, right? It's just kind of weird. I feel like there's some plot holes to be had here. So you got Miles Morales listening in on Gwen's conversation with Spider-Woman and Miguel O'Hara, and they're trying to find Spot, and eventually they decide to go to the, she goes back to Spider-Man 2099's universe, and Miles follows her, but they end up in the, what is it, Mumbattan, instead of Manhattan, Mumbattan, and it's India's Spider-Man universe, in which somehow India meets the Indians, right? Indians, right? And it's probably an alternate universe where India were sailing and they thought they went back home, and they called the Native Americans Indians instead of Columbus. Who knows? And so you have Mumbattan. You have and the thing about I was thinking about as I was watching the Indian Spider-Man and the Indian universe is that I was thinking of Bollywood. And I thought, Indians love crazy CGI movies. They love over-the-top CGI in live action. They love it. They love it. They can't get enough of it. Just like with Russians with alcohol noir, where there's a lot of alcohol in movies, in Russian movies. In India, they love CGI movies. So I was thinking of the diversity of how different cultures make different movies. So I was thinking of that. And what happened was the Indian Spider-Man, his girlfriend is a cop who is a police chief. And Miles Morales saves his life. There's a whole attack on the bridge. Spot causes problems with his vortexes and stuff like that. So there's a problem, and his life is saved. And Gwen Stacy sees that the cannon has been fucked with, meaning that the police captain has been rescued. So eventually they get to the 2099 universe where Miguel O'Hara is in charge of this multiverse building where all the Spider-Man, you see Insomniac Games Spider-Man, you see the 1960s Spider-Man, you will see, I think it's the voice actor of the Prowler, the voice actor who did the voice of the Prowler. He's in live action as another Prowler in this movie. J.K. Simmons makes a cameo as a J. Jonah Jameson against Gwen Stacy in her universe. There are all kinds of Spider-Men, some from, I think Earth X. There's one with a hockey stick. There's the Web of Spider-Man Spider-Man armor from Web of Spider-Man #1. There's all kinds, all variations. There's a mechanical Spider-Man, manga Spider-Man. I hope he was in there. He might be, manga Spider-Man might be in there. Not 100% sure on that, but I think he's in there. There's all kinds of Spider-Men and all kinds of races, ethnicities, aliens. Penny Parker makes a return, as well as Peter H. Parker, the fat slob Peter Parker that was Miles' friend from the first movie, and he has a daughter, May Parker, I think. So Mary Jane and Peter's daughter could be the new Spider-Girl. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Lots of Spider trivia. We do see archive footage of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, where they focus on the deaths of Captain Stacy, the death of Uncle Ben. And what had happened was with Miles Morales saving the captain's life with the turban captain. Always get notifications. What happened with the turban captain is he was not supposed to be saved. There's some sort of stupid logic here Like here they are trying to preserve the multiverse by stopping Spot, killing Spot. I don't know, but then there's a whole logic of, and they did a nice tribute to the original Spider-Man with Captain George Stacy. Captain George Stacy from the original comic books. George Stacy was like, I don't know. I mean, just think of an old actor with white hair, and that's basically think of California Governor Duke Majan. Duke Majan, he kind of looked like it, like some old man with a cane, and that was like the original concept of George Stacy and the Spider-Man, the four-color look. And they say, okay, so here you got Bat, here you got the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man mourning over Stacy, right? And you got Uncle Ben, you got all these different multiverses, but there's common denominators in the multiverse. And what's supposed to happen in one multiverse is supposed to happen in another. But that doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, what is meant to happen is meant to happen. I don't understand how Miguel O'Hara gets to decide what is canon and what isn't canon. If the captain is saved, that means that the multiverse is destroyed. I don't understand that. I don't understand the logic of it, and I don't understand what Miguel O'Hara was trying to do. Miguel O'Hara and the Spider-Man were trying to do an intervention and stop Miles from saving his father, stop him from saving anybody else, because we're not supposed to save anybody. We're supposed to preserve the multiverse. But it's not about time travel. See, the time travel stuff makes more sense to me because it's like when you go to Doc Brown's chalkboard in Back to the Future Part 2, in which, okay, let's go, nope, it's alternate, here's these alternate timelines, and here's what happened when you got the almanac. Well, that stuff makes sense to me in the movie logic of things, or even in some base primitive scientific notion about how time travel works. But who's to say that Captain George Stacy can't live in another universe, right? Or Uncle Ben can't live in another universe. I mean, people become Spider-Man for different reasons, right? Maybe it's Aunt May that dies. So there's just the randomness of how things work. But Miles did what Miles thought was the right thing to do. And so we do see cameos from, I remember, I love the Scarlet Spider from the 90s. I grew up and collected comic books from the 90s. So I had to go to the bathroom because I drank about two large sodas, as you saw, and I missed the last minute or two. So I do not know. Somebody will tell me, you can tell me in the comments section, but mark it spoilers because not everybody's seen the movie, all right? Mark it spoilers, and you can put it in the read more, kind of section of the comment. Let me know if Gwen Stacy told, because so before we even tell you what the spoiler is, this is the nemesis here. He always keeps saying he's Miles' nemesis, and there is May. He got his daughter. It kind of reminds me of Plastic Man and Plas Baby. But he had to do what he had to do, and he had no regrets. So there's a big old conflict between Miguel O'Hara and Miles Morales, and Miles Morales ends up going back home to finally, he was showed up late for his dad's promotional party. So he got promoted to captain. And so there was a big party for him in his name, but Miles showed up late, and there's a couple of cakes that says, "I am not proud." That just was like a big old mistake because he had to write all this text on the cake. So he got grounded for 2 months, and then he got grounded for 3 months. But the mom was nice. They popped up out of nowhere and said, "Hey, there's our son, and look." So, I mean, Gwen Stacy and Miles Morales had a nice moment hanging upside down, talking about things. But it didn't get too romantic, but, it could go that way. But I'm losing my train of thought. Gwen Stacy is revealed to Miles's parents as just the girl he likes, and that's why he hadn't been attentive in school. So they kind of be like, oh, well, our little boy's growing up and everything. So there's this whole predictable beat where they're like, oh, we're sorry, we offended you. It's like, all right, that's it, you get 3 months. So he had 2 months and 3 months of grounding, being grounded for not being there for his dad, not being on time, and skipping out on his family. It looks like a quinceañera, the whole thing. But Miles goes back home, or we thought he went back home, because he goes and tells his mom that he is Spider-Man. And she's like, ¿Qué? Who's Spider-Man? You know, the guy that goes, flip, whip. They try to do the whip. And so he's trying to show her that he's wearing the costume, that he is Spider-Man. But she doesn't know, who is this? Wow, who is that? That's a goddess, whoever that is. There's more multiverse stuff. She doesn't know who that is. And then we find out, and it kind of was obvious, when you see Gwen Stacy going to the same place that Miles is supposed to be, and Miles is supposed to be in his room, you already know what that is. I mean, I had to think back to Black Adam when the boy was in the wrong hover flyer. It's like, oh, it's a bait and switch. It's like, oh, we think they're in the same place, but he's in the wrong. So you're in the wrong universe, right? You're in the wrong fucking universe. So Miles is in an alternate universe where his father died. Now, I don't think he knows. I had to take a piss break. So here's where I think you will spoil me in the comment, because I missed the last 5 to 10 minutes. Because I took a big old piss break and a shit break at a public restroom. I didn't miss the toilet. Tell me if Miles realized he was in the wrong universe. And did Gwen Stacy tell, because I think Gwen Stacy ran into his parents going back into his room in the correct universe. Did she tell them his secret? That's the only two. Because I think this is going to be another. There's going to be another movie, so it's not a one-parter. It's a two-parter. There's more here. These are the hexagons. It's just like the ones on my cup, and a lot going on. There's the Spider family. There's the Spider family. That's great. I think this is this voice actor and his friend. And I'm not sure if this is the guy that plays the cop. I don't know. So everybody came. More multiverse stuff. Enter the Spider-Verse. That's Spider-Woman. Pregnant. Trying to ride a motorcycle. You know, you can't do it all. And there's Spot again. Lots of pictures of this. Overall, I think it was like a worthy 8 out of 10. There he got to get his daughter back. He tells his wife, Mary Jane, that they didn't go anywhere, but she don't believe him. There's the ATM stuff happening here. And all the Spider-Man were trying to catch him to hold him, lock him down. It's like he's not going to apologize for saving somebody's life. And Spot is still on the loose. So when I came back from the bathroom, from the public restroom, the credits had already been rolling. So part of me thinks maybe I missed the end. The very, very end. I don't know. So the last thing I saw before I went to the bathroom was Miles Morales sees the Rest in Power mural on the brick wall. And then he gives a hard look at Prowler, at his uncle. And then some spider creature jumps him, and that was it. And I think Gwen Stacy runs into Miles' parents, and I don't know what else happened. I think the credits rolled during the time I took a piss. So somebody will tell me if I missed anything significant. Oh, yes. I don't know if Tom Holland showed up or not. I don't think so. But I do know that the woman that played Eddie Brock's, the Korean liquor store lady, showed up in a cameo. So Spot runs into her. So that was from a nice Venom cameo, but not Venom. But the lady that I forget her name. I forget her character's name, but That's the one that Eddie Brock, Tom Hardy runs into all the time. He defended her at the end of the first movie, and I don't know if she was in the second one, but she didn't have a whole lot to do, but hold the Venom symbiote. And are there more revealing images here? Yeah, just that she was keeping secrets from him. So there's tension between the two. There's Miguel O'Hara. What a bastard! Miguel O'Hara is a real asshole, isn't he? Not the one I remembered. And there's 2099. I don't know who this is. This could be, well, it could be somebody else. I think this is Spider-Woman, the one who does the voice in cinemas June. You know, I forgot this movie was even going to be out this week. So I was going to have breakfast and I jumped right out. I jumped right out of there. Okay, I think that's going to be it. 8 out of 10. Let me know what you thought of the movie. And as always, if you like this video, you know what to do. Press those buttons below. And we'll make it a trilogy. I'll have one more Spider-Man video to do tonight, and then I'll move on to better things.